welcome to episode 18 of Skins in the Game, where John and Tim go into what's going on in the DC sports world. How you doing today?
I'm here. I'm alive. Another week.
Another
Sorry,
week
September.
of
I can't
being
believe it.
alive.
And I will say that I can't believe that the NFL season is starting next Thursday, and I'm like not even
Yeah, we are, 9 days,
8 days.
8 days away, something like that from Sunday. Football
Yep.
Sunday. We are one more show, we have this show and one more show, and we actually have football. That'll be fun. That'll be exciting. So, absolutely. We actually got to see each other this weekend. Corona, no. But we went to our,
Oh,
his sister's house, my aunt's house, and hung out over there, sang some karaoke, had a good time.
you're not supposed to let that out.
Yeah, well, it happened.
That was all good.
It
was all
was.
family mostly. So
Yeah, we did a new thing with karaoke where, well, it was new to us anyway. I don't know if anybody else has ever done it. But we had a big room full of people in my aunt's kitchen, maybe, I don't know, 10 people or something like that, 12 people, something along those lines. And we passed the microphone around every line of a song that we all knew. And we had a lot of fun with it. So one of our my aunt's friends just took over the mic. She would, as soon as it would be a speed bump, as soon as it would get to her, it would just sit there for a few minutes or for 30 seconds while everybody else had it for like 3 seconds.
I was gonna say it was more like a ravine, but it was
Cool.
a good time.
It was. All right, well, now we can go ahead and hop into the Redskins topics. And topic number one, Redskins just made a trade. And it was for a left tackle, and that left tackle is David Sharpe. He played for the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. The Redskins received David Sharpe and a 2021 seventh round draft pick, and we gave up a 2021 sixth round pick. So we did not lose a pick; we just swapped some late round picks. David Sharpe is a 6'6", 330-pound left tackle out of the University of Florida. He was drafted in the fourth round by the Raiders in 2017, but he's actually moved around the NFL already a little bit in his short career. He was waived by the Raiders the next season in 2018, signed onto the Houston Texans practice squad, was elevated to the active roster on September 25th, and by October 31st, he was off the team again. So a month later, he was gone. The Raiders then claimed him back off the waiver wire, and earlier this offseason signed him to a one-year deal before we finally just made the trade for him now. And just a little bit more about him as far as playing in the NFL. He started a total of 4 games in his 3-year career. He started 2 games last season when their starting left tackle went down. He was graded, according to Pro Football Focus, at a 64.9, which is, again, a backup caliber player. But to put that in perspective of what we got, Jerron Christian right now is slated to be the starter, and he was only rated a 63 last year. So they're pretty much a very similar grade. And, yeah, what do you think about that move?
I mean, it's not like earth-shattering. I think it's like maybe a depth move. Not a lot on paper to grade him on. Obviously, I don't know that I'd call him a journeyman because he's not old enough to be a journeyman.
Yeah, he's on pace to be. Yeah.
Yeah, but he certainly has the size. I guess I'd need to know more of what Oakland's thinking was. Did they not, were they in a good position in offensive tackle, or was it something where they just didn't think he was the guy? So I don't really know
I think they have
what their motive is.
Dwayne Brown or something. I didn't look that up actually.
But to have depth at offensive tackle is because the way I figure it, maybe I'm wrong, but if guys that can play or left tackle can usually play other positions, because that's the hardest
Trent
one.
Brown was the guy I was thinking of, and then their left tackle is a first-round pick, Colton Miller. So yeah, they did not feel the need to to keep a tackle, I suppose, clearly, and they thought they could make a move to move up in the draft. Yeah, I agree. I think that Jerron Christian is going to be the starter. He's been here all off season. We've heard some good things out of him, so I don't think that this guy is somebody that comes in within 8 days of game one and steals the starting job from him. But this does give us some worry about our 4th round draft pick in Sadiq Charles being able to be the backup left tackle or the swing tackle. I still think that I will talk about this later. I still think Charles makes the team, but this might be a little bit of an indictment on him that he was not doing enough in practice to be like, oh yeah, we are comfortable with Sadiq Charles being our backup swing tackle.
So, and I started to say that I know you were looking up a thing when I said this earlier, but am I wrong in thinking that if you can play left tackle, then you can play the other positions because left tackle is the hardest?
So, in theory, the left tackle is your best offensive lineman, and there is a different play style in the interior lineman. It's more of a rough nose game where length is not as much of a big of deal. You are going to play just uphill, like downhill more, whereas the left tackle or the right tackle are more about length because you want to be able to push the defensive end around.
A little more finesse.
Yeah, and so it's more likely that a left tackle can move into the interior of a line rather than an interior lineman moving out to tackle.
Right. So basically that's what I was saying is having extra tackles that could plug and play into the interior that, this guy certainly seems big enough to where he could move into a guard position and play in the trenches. So from that angle, I guess it makes sense too that to have depth across the line is,
yeah, for sure. And he would be a great heavy set if you want your heavies coming in for a 1 yard push. You could send him in there as a tight end instead. You can put him at the tight end spot and 330 pounds.
You're talking about like William Perry, the fridge. Remember him?
No, not giving him the ball. Now that would be funny. No, yeah, yeah. A 300-pound lineman getting a ball. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying put him as a tight end spot and help you get a push if you need 1 yard or 2 yards or something like that. So, he would be a big boy.
I'm not hating the move because it was cheap. I think he's making like 2.1. I want to say 2.1 million, and he's young. What is he in his 4th year now? So, I don't hate the move, and I think they got him for a good price. And a 6th and 7th rounder? What did you say?
We just swapped a 6th and a 7th.
Yeah, so we're not giving up a whole lot for him. So I don't see a lot of downside to it, but it'll be interesting to see. If he's only started in 4 games and out of 3 years, that's not a ringing endorsement of his talent, but we'll see. We got what's his name, Scott Turner, and the line coach will show him. We'll make a new man out of him.
Yep. Well, they as I said, they did draft a 1st round left tackle. It seems like they were in 2017. They are where we are now, where they drafted a 4th round tackle, being like, okay, we need some depth there. Maybe he could become the starter. Realized, okay, this guy's not going to become the starter, so we need to draft a 1st round left tackle the next season, which they did, and that's what I think we are going to do next draft. I think our 1st round draft pick next season will be a 1st round left tackle. We are in desperate need of one, and that's the most important position on the offensive line. So I think that is the move. And like 80% of starting left tackles in the league are 1st round picks. It's as we've talked about before, it's a position that you need to draft early. Like, it's very, very, very rare a good left tackle comes late in the draft. It's more likely to come. Obviously, all picks are more likely, but it's extremely less likely to find one later than in other positions. So,
well, now that Haskins has lost the weight, and I've heard reports that he's much quicker than he used to be. So he doesn't. Who needs a left tackle when you have Dwayne Haskins?
You're saying,
in,
so you're saying now? Oh, he's Lamar Jackson now. He's gonna run all over the field.
He's a combination of Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes. You're not? Are you saying you're not buying it? Okay, I took a shot, but no. Left tackle is important, so yes.
I'm saying I would take it. I wouldn't be mad.
But you would be shocked. I know.
I would be shocked. That would be funny. Alrighty. Speaking of Dwayne Haskins, he has been officially named QB1 for the 2020 season. Ron Rivera said he has lived up to everything we talked about back in January. And back in January, he was giving the standard answer of everybody will compete. He's got to show leadership. He's got to come in, show that he can learn the playbook. You know, of course, he's not gonna come in and saying like, oh yeah, he's our guy, blah blah blah. He's gonna say everybody is in competition. So, but now he has been officially named the QB1 of this team. How do you feel?
I'm fine with that. As we talked earlier about it, I want to see if he continues to progress. What I find more interesting or wonder is what is going to be, since your belief is, and I think you're right, that they're only going to carry two quarterbacks, is that going to be Alex Smith? And is, what the heck is it? Kyle
Allen.
Kyle Allen, thank you. I was drawing a complete blank. That who they're going to carry as the second quarterback, and is that going to put Alex Smith one injury away from actually getting on the field, or are they going to do something with Alex Smith and keep Kyle?
So again, I planned on going over the prediction of the 53-man roster a little bit later in the show.
Okay, well, then we'll cover that later. I'm sorry that I was just saying that I'm not surprised. I'm pleased that Rivera came in and saw what he needed to see from Dwayne Haskins, and that he didn't go with his guy, from the Panthers and say, well, Haskins has got to do some work. That would have worried me more. So I'm pleased with the announcement. I'm not surprised by it necessarily with the way the summer's been going, but it's good to see that they're buying into, Dwayne Haskins has the chance to progress. Not to the great. I'm not saying he's going to suddenly progress to a great level, but I think he's going to progress to the next level, and he has a lot of upside still, I think.
Yep, and we've been hearing only good things coming out of camp about him, which is good. Doesn't mean much. I mean, it could flop week one and then flop this season, but it's better than the alternative. It's better than hearing, oh, he can't find the receiver. He's throwing interceptions all day. He can't read the offense. He's not making the checks at the line, or blah, blah, blah. The coach is yelling at him because he can't figure out the offense or anything like that.
Well, but we kind of touched on this last week, that about Kyle. Now, why can't I remember his last name?
Kyle Allen
talking about Dwayne Haskins, and I kind of alluded to the fact that is this the way that Ron Rivera rolls, that he doesn't share dirty laundry with the media, and that now granted, now that he's the starter, I think that's saying that whatever he was saying is true. But to me, earlier in the year when he was starting to say good things about Haskins, does he say questionable things about anybody on his roster? And I don't know the answer to that, or is he kind of like, everything's good, we'll deal with it behind closed doors, and we're not going to have this public commentary on issues in our clubhouse or on the field, or on our practice field, I should say.
Right. I read an article a while ago, I think we talked about on the show before, is that Rivera is a very positive guy to the media. So he will just continue to talk positively about his players, and then even may cut him the next week or something
right.
like that.
Well, and I think it's in a different way, but it's not really all that much different than Bill Belichick. That Bill Belichick doesn't, now granted, he's on to the next question. He gives non-answers because that's just the kind of personality he is. But basically he's doing the same thing. He's like, I am not going to talk about play on the field or any of my guys or give you any insight into anything, and I've got to be out here and I don't want to do it, but you're not going to get me to give you something that's going to be on the front page of the sports section of, oh, Ron Rivera doesn't like so-and-so and has a problem with him, because what good is that going to do? You
right.
know? So
yeah, it actually is funny. I remember you just brought up Bill Belichick and just being short, but there was a reporter that was a New England Patriots reporter, and they were asking, like, what is it like to ask questions at a Bill Belichick press conference? And he actually said, like, if you ask a reasonable question, he can be pretty open as far as discussing things, and he actually likes talking football, and he's not a bad guy. He's got a good sense of humor and things like that. But if you ask him a dumb question, he is just not gonna have it. Like, I think
or
at one
like
point,
a gotcha question.
yeah, I think it was like at one point it was when Tom Brady got suspended for 4 games and Jimmy Garoppolo got the starting job, and somebody was like, do you think that there's any chance Jimmy G could steal the starting job from Tom Brady? And he kind of just looked at him like,
really?
Are you dumb? Like, yeah, like he didn't say that, but that was the look he get. He's like, it's Tom Brady. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, you talking about the 5-time Super Bowl champion at this point? We're really going to say, like, any chance that this guy Jimmy G comes in and steals the spot from Tom Brady? But he just completely shut that one down. He's like, that's ridiculous.
How do you feel about that loss, Coach? I feel good about it. It was good learning. I mean, yeah, some reporters ask some of the dumbest questions, and although some coaches out there, and I can't think of the guy where he's like, okay, you're just stupid. Like he's openly, he's like, all right, that's a dumb question.
Yeah, you can find some compilations of like players or like coaches being interviewed after the game, and yeah, their responses to, like, you can find those compilations where they do not respond media correctly. I don't know what you would call it, but like how you're supposed to portray yourself in the media. They're just like, are you dumb? Like, yeah, like, what is that question? Yeah. Well, before we get into the 53-man roster that we've talked about now a couple times, will the Redskins go after one of these RBs? One of them is apparently on the trading block, and the other had been waived by their team, and everybody knows what we're talking about is Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara seem to be available in some capacity. Will the Redskins make a move for one of these players? And at first we'll start with Fournette, who was waived by the Jaguars. He was not claimed off waivers, even though he was only a $4.5 million cap hit to whoever signed him. And so what do you think about that?
Okay, first of all, I think we ought to break it down into two. It's actually a 2-part question, or a 2-angle question. Mm-hmm. One is, should they? Mm-hmm. And then 2 is, will they?
Okay.
And my unequivocal answer is, no, they shouldn't.
Okay. For both. For both of them.
Okay. I don't think right now that unless they're a real bargain, but I don't think we're in a real bad position in running back right now, and I don't think 4.5 is not terrible. I guess if they get an opportunity to get one of them cheap, then maybe you bring them in. But I just think with the way things are going right now and the new mentality, that it's not a big enough to me. And I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a big enough upside or potential upside of bringing in a different running back over what they've got right now. So I don't see them as – I don't think they should, but it's possible. Again, I don't know the mindset. I would say last year or the previous administration that I would say that, yes, they'll probably go after one of them because that's just kind of the way they roll. But I don't have a real good feel on well, I have a feel for it, but I don't have a lot of knowledge into the way this administration thinks and whether or not they're likely to say, hey, it's got some upside and he's cheap, let's go ahead and bring him in. But what's your opinion?
Fournette, as far as a talent, is probably a top 5 talented running back in this league. He is good, okay? He's a downhill runner. He's ran for 1,000 yards twice in his 3 years. He got hurt the second year in his career. He also catches a lot more passes than people expected. He caught over 70 passes out of the backfield last year for a guy that looks and is a first and second down back. Like, he's your big build, downhill runner, can run over people, could also have a little bit of shifty where he makes some people miss, but he also can catch the ball out of the backfield. And as far as a talent, $4.5 million is dirt cheap for this player.
Yeah.
Like, dirt cheap for the amount of talent you are getting out of this man.
Okay. But
a huge locker room cancer.
See, I figured there was a reason he was waived.
Yeah. He is got a massive ego. When he was drafted, he talked about how he was going to be the best running back in the league when he stepped on the field. Like, and I can't remember you could go look at the video. He was huge ego, and that has just continued to be portrayed throughout his time in Jacksonville. Even through, he's not been good with the coaching staff. They've had disputes. There's been a lot of talk that he's going to be released or traded well before this right now. He is not what you're looking for, especially in our situation where we all are preaching culture change, that he is not a guy you bring in over a guy like Adrian Peterson, who...
Well, that was what I was going to ask you. Do you don't think that Adrian Peterson could have any good effect on him? Or you don't think he would respect him either?
I mean, I don't know Fournette, so I can't say for certain who he would respect and not respect.
Right.
AP has got to be up there, you would think. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame caliber running back.
I was going to say, what has AP done in the league? Come on.
So you would think, especially with how long he's continuing to do it. I think he had like 800 yards last year at age 33. I mean, the guy is continuously proving people wrong. Excuse me. But
bless you.
Thanks. But I just don't know. I don't know if even this experience humbled him or not. Like, to be cut from a team after being a first-round pick. He was a top 5 pick back in 2017. And talent-wise, completely worth it. This guy is a beast. And I just don't know if that's going to turn into a good teammate if we bring him in. And running back is probably our second strongest position on this team.
Right.
Is another problem.
Did you say how old is Fournette now?
Was he 25?
Okay.
Like, he's in the prime. Yeah, he's
right.
This is only going to be his 4th season. So he's like 25, 26, somewhere in that range.
Okay. But yeah, we don't need a cancer of any kind. We just don't need that right now.
Yeah, and especially at a position where it's not a position of need. There's other positions that we could be looking to grab, and that's just not one of them. And then that could also be said about the Kamara pick, who Kamara's another extremely great talent. He's more of a Chris Thompson type. He's bigger than Chris Thompson, but he plays like a Chris Thompson where he catches a lot of balls out of the backfield. Good third down back. Can also play some first and second. Do a little bit of running between the tackles, but he's not that downhill runner that you would get out of Fournette or Adrian Peterson or something along those lines. Extremely talented, but we will not make this move either because, first of all, we have to trade for him. Saints are not going to give him up cheap. And the reason that he was even on the trade block is he was missing practice due to a contract dispute.
Okay.
And so they were like, okay, well, now we're open to trade him if he doesn't want to be on this team. Especially in the Saints situation, they have a guy named Latavius Murray, which...
Right.
When Alvin Kamara got hurt last year, Latavius Murray was the number 1 running back in fantasy those 2 weeks. I think he went 2 weeks in a row with 40 fantasy points, depend if you're in a PPR league or with bonuses and stuff. But even if without bonuses, he was 2 weeks in a row with 30 points. So they have a very quality backup in Latavius Murray. So they're not desperate in any situation, in any of these situations. So I think they'll end up working out something where he will play this year. But so not only will we have to trade for him, which I said wouldn't be cheap, Alvin Kamara wants $16 million a year as a running back.
So you think he's going to stay on the Saints?
Yeah, he'll stay on the Saints this year, and I think he'll get a good payday. I would think, because he's extremely talented. They use him in so many different ways. He's not just a running back. He can line up at receiver. He can line up in the slot. He can line up basically anywhere on the field. You could put this guy. Like, he's a wonderful weapon to have when you're an offensive coordinator. But at the same time, it's like, hey man, you're under contract. I'm not looking to extend you right this second. And honestly, we will continue to thrive without you. We want you. We like you. We enjoy your talent. But this is not a situation where we're in a spot where we feel the need that we need to make a move, like Dallas with Zeke Elliott or something along those lines. So,
yeah.
I do not see us making that move either, because I don't think anybody is silly enough to pay $16 million and trade for a running back.
That's a huge. Like I said, if either one of them were cheap, maybe, but yeah, not even at $10 million, I would say no. But certainly not anywhere up in the upper double digits. That's ridiculous.
So I'm sorry, Redskins fans, to inform you, we're not getting one of these flashy running backs that would be really exciting to see as far as talent on the field. But no, neither of these running backs will be coming to Washington. All right, let's go ahead, and as I said, the rosters will be finalized Saturday at 4 p.m. coming up this Saturday, and I put up here to revisit our 53-man predictions from earlier, like a couple months ago, and see where we got wrong so far. Like, there's obviously some that have been already eliminated from the team due to injuries or otherwise, and also what are we thinking more now? So we'll just go position by position. Are you looking at my stuff right now?
Yeah, I'm not counting them. So is this your projected 53-man roster, or is this who is there? And this is
my projected 53-man roster. And if you're looking at it, the underlined ones are obviously going to be ones that were eliminated from it for whatever reason, and then the red ones are who I added from my prediction.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So now to answer your question that you did bring up earlier is who is going to be the backup to Haskins? And my answer is we are not going to be bringing 2. We are going to be bringing 3 QBs into the 53-man roster because Alex Smith is back. My prediction before was Dwayne Haskins and Kyle Allen, because I did not see there was any way Alex Smith was going to be healthy enough to play. But all signs seem to be pointing to he is on track to be healthy enough to play, at least at some point this season. And I think that he does remain on this team, remains on this roster. They want his leadership. They want his locker room morale. They want him to help mentor the young Dwayne Haskins. So he will be here. But because of the injury concerns, I think they want to keep Kyle Allen under this roof to also be a guy that could come in and step in and play if, for whatever reason, Alex Smith has any step backs, any hiccups, anything throughout his rehab process, and Kyle Allen remains on the team as well. But the backup will be Alex Smith.
Behind Dwayne.
QB number 2 is Alex Smith.
Okay. Well, I will say, I wanted to say about Alex too that in the videos I've watched of him in practice, it's like, how does his leg look so normal with the pictures that I saw a year ago?
You thought his leg looked normal?
It looked a lot more normal than I thought it would have. I mean, it didn't. I was expecting like peg leg out there, and it was like, I'm looking at.
Well, no, it's big compared to his other leg. It's big, but he also wears a brace, I believe, at practice, so it makes it even look bigger. But he has that hump on the front of it, like his lower calf or lower lower shin, that is like, it's like a growth looking thing on the front of his leg. And
maybe it was just the angles they were showing of him that hid that for me, because I remember it was kind of from behind, so maybe that's the reason why.
If you see him from behind, then because all of the surgery, all of the rigmarole was on the front shin. The back of his calf was basically remained normal. It was all in the front that they had to do all the removing of the infection and all the scraping and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you saw him from behind, then that would make sense of why they looked normal. I saw a picture recently that made him look not so normal. Like it's
Right.
But I think he was wearing a brace. As I said, his leg looked bigger than the other one, and but it's amazing, dude. It's amazing that he continues to push
That he's even walking.
the envelope.
It's a miracle. So, like I said, like the guy, wish nothing but the best for him, and I just hope that nothing bad happens if he gets in a game. Is all I got to. But he is a game manager. He wins, to your point from a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with him being the backup. I just don't want to see anything, because if something happens to that leg again, I don't think that's going to be good. I mean, like, permanently not good.
Oh, well, if it happens right now, because he has a metal rod, and if they somehow break that metal rod, it's, as you said, it's, but, I mean, I just don't know how, like, the things that are connected, like, it just seems like now those are going to have more pressure on it, because in theory, the metal rod is going to make his shins, like, his tibia and fibia or whatever, like, immortal almost. Like, that's going to be basically impenetrable, but that means you're going to have way more pressure on your knee and ankle, the stuff that connects it to it. In theory, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I don't know these things for sure, but that's just what makes sense to me. All right, so that's my QBs. I have us bringing 9 linemen, which is a little bit on the low side. Some people bring as much as 11, but the average is 10. But I think we're going to bring 11 because we're bringing 9 because we're bringing that extra quarterback. And I had predicted Jason Peters would be signed by us. We dropped the ball on that. He actually went back to the Eagles and signed, and actually is going to be playing left guard for them. No, right guard for them. He's going to be the right guard instead. They have a young left tackle that will continue to play left tackle, and he's going to be a 1-year right guard for them. And so that he is not on the team anymore. But as far as the rest of the prediction, I have Wes Switzer, Chase Roullier, Brandon Sharpe, Morgan Moses, Sadiq Charles, Wes Martin, Keith Ismail, and Jerron Christian all making the team. And then, of course, the guy that we just talked about, the trade in David Sharpe. He will make this team, I would hope, considering we just made a move for him. So,
you would think.
Yep. So nothing major changing there as far as what I predicted before. I haven't heard anything to make me think anything differently. So that will be, and then your starters will be Jerron Christian at left tackle, Wes Switzer at left guard, Chase Roullier at center, Brandon Sharpe, and Morgan Moses on the right side of the line.
Makes sense to me.
Running backs. So the big obvious one is no more Darius Geis. But what's easy for me in particular is I already predicted us carrying 5 running backs, which is a lot. And most teams do not bring 5 running backs. So Darius Geis being removed. Now we got all 4.
Yeah, I mean, I like the guys back there. That's why I was saying earlier about picking up a running back. I don't think we need to. I think we got some diversity and some power, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do.
Adrian Peterson will be your starter. You have J.D. McKissick to be your third down back. Antonio Gibson will definitely see the field this year quite a bit. And then Bryce Love, as I think it was in your bold prediction, or did I hear it from somewhere else, that he could end up being the starter at some point this season over Adrian Peterson.
I seem to recall that being in it, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, so do you ever see them at any point having a 2-back set?
A 2-back set. Interesting. I don't know what he did as far as I don't know if he did much of that in Carolina. But that could be a very interesting play because you have 2 guys in Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick that can basically go line up as a receiver that could be very interesting in the backfield while being in shotgun. I don't think you're going to see that much, but it's not going to be a common play. No, I don't see that.
No, I didn't think that. I was just curious to see.
It's definitely an interesting play if you have some sort of run game out of a shotgun with two backs in the backfield, also being able to flex them out, shift them outside. Like that could be a very interesting. I never thought about it that way, but there's definitely some opportunity there. We'll look out for that. We'll look for that. That'd be cool. And then we'll go talk about how you predicted that formation out there.
Well, we'll see whether I know what I'm talking about or not.
Receivers, I had Calvin Harmon making the team. He obviously blew out his Achilles, so he will not be playing this season. And then when Emmanuel Hall went down, actually, was Harmon the knee? Harmon may have been the knee. Emmanuel may have been the Achilles. One of those two. But those were the two injuries. I don't remember which one was which. And then when Emmanuel Hall went down, I had Jordan Veazey making the team. But since then, we made a move for Dontrell Inman to sign him. I think he will make the team. And then I've heard a lot of good things coming out of camp for the boat of Cam Sims, your guy that you thought were making the team. And so I'm thinking he's going to be our sixth receiver. I have Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gandy-Golden, Steven Sims, Trey Quinn, Dontrell Inman, and Cam Sims as the receivers. Your number one obviously being Scary Terry, your slot being Steven Sims, and then Inman is probably going to be your number two receiver for now, with Gandy-Golden hopefully screaming up the boards to be a solid number two receiving option behind Terry McLaurin.
So then you're saying Trey Quinn gets demoted?
Trey Quinn, yeah, he could see some punt returns. He could be a special teams guy, so I still think he'll be on here. But yeah, he's not. He'll be on the field some, but it's going to be very limited for Trey Quinn. I do not see him being a huge part of this offense at all this year.
And what about Cam Sims? I know his issue is his hands. You see him returning stuff?
No, he's not really a return guy. He may be able to do some sort of special teams as far as kickoff return or kickoff, or maybe even some punt team, where he's going to be like a gunner or something like that. He may be able to be out there for something like that. But he's not going to see the field much unless injury happens as well. So he's just going to be your sixth guy out there that, will make the team to have another receiver. But, yep, so those are my receivers. And then to finish up the offense, I got the three tight ends. I had Thaddeus Moss making this team. Obviously, he got cut out of nowhere, it seemed. But apparently he was not very highly looked at on the practice field. Coaches were getting into him and things like that. So
he was disinterested. There is what I heard is that he really wasn't.
Yeah, apparently, he was not. Yeah, he was not very into it. I guess I know he had a couple of small injuries because they actually released him on a IR waiver or something like that. Like he had an injury tag on.
You think he got that from his dad? Because didn't his dad always seem kind of disinterested in everything, and then just when he would go out there, you could run lights out, and Thaddeus couldn't do that.
Randy Moss, I don't know, because I didn't grow up in that time to think read the headlines if he was I know he was a very boisterous individual, but as far as clearly his dad though was talented, way more talented, where he didn't necessarily have to do much on the practice field. Because he showed up on game day and destroyed people.
Right. And he was by no means a Terrell Owens kind of guy, but he was, and I think a lot of great wide receivers are like that, where they're kind of cocky. But yeah, they're
the divas of the league. They're the divas.
Yeah, but I just remember him, unless I'm thinking of the wrong person, but I just recall his not kind of being on the field, where if he wasn't actually going to be the primary receiver in the play, that he didn't kind of run his route all that hard. And it was only when he knew, it was like, okay, we're going to go long to you. And then he would kick it up. But yeah. How many times he would not draw a defender down the field, because it's like, they're not throwing it long here. And the defender could tell because Moss wasn't really running. So that's why I said, did Thaddeus kind of get that attitude from his father, but he didn't have the talent to back it up?
It's usually the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so it's very possible that these things did play into it. But at the same time, he wasn't that talented where he should have had that kind of ego like his father, where his father was a top 5 speedster, top 5 height, top 5 leaping ability, and top 5 hands, all built into one player. Like, he's not...
Yeah, but as a son, you're watching your father and how he does things, and it doesn't necessarily register with you that he can do that, because it's just, oh, so that's how we play football. And I don't know, it's just speculation.
No,
but
it is.
Anyway.
It's very interesting. But we talked about this last week. Marcus Ball, or Maurice Ball, crap, no, I wrote down Marcus, so yeah, that's what we're going to go with. Ball looks to be making some noise, and I think he will be our third tight end. I haven't heard anything about Richard Rodgers. I still think he makes this team, but I'm not going to lie, that is a spot where that I'm not feeling 100% confident that he makes this team over maybe a Jeremy Sprinkle or something, because I haven't heard really anything out of it. But he's got experience. I think he's a good player, decent player, and I think he'll make this team, but I haven't heard anything to tell me that necessarily.
By the way, you got his name right. It's Marcus.
Okay, cool. It almost like the way he spells Marcus, it almost like looked like I misspelled Maurice or something.
Right.
But anyway, so that is my offense, my 25-team offense. Then we have the defense, and we'll start with the interior defensive lineman. And we lost one from my initial prediction to the COVID conversation where he opted out of the season, and that was Caleb Brantley. And I don't see us adding anything there. I think we will use these 4 guys, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, and Tim Settle, to be our 4-man rotation to make this team.
Makes sense to me.
Defensive ends, I still have Ryan Kerrigan, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and Nate Orchard. I don't see anything different in those respects. I did talk about Ryan B. potentially making it before. I do not have him in my final prediction to make the team. So those, I see us only bringing 8 defensive linemen into this season. And then linebackers, I have... to our linebacker, we lost another guy to COVID, which was Josh Harvey-Clemens. He opted out for the season. And I think that's where Khalik Hudson, our 4th round draft, or one of our 4th round draft picks. No, our 5th round draft pick. Sorry, he was our 5th round. Where he makes the team as a 5th round draft pick as a linebacker. But we still have Thomas Davis, Cole Holcomb, Sean Allen Hamilton, Reuben Foster, John Bostic, Ryan Anderson, and Khalik Hudson. So that is a 7-man rotation at the linebacker spot, which seems kind of deep for a 4-3. But Khalik Hudson can also play a little bit of safety. He can be moved all around because he's a different size linebacker, but he's listed at linebacker right now. Corners, I'll do corners last. Safeties, I have Landon Collins, Sean Davis. A guy that I did not expect to make big noise is Troy Apke. We talked about that last week, where Troy Apke seems like he is earning that starting role.
He can run.
He can run. I haven't heard much coming out of camp as far as Jeremy Reeves, but I do know in the past he's made a lot of noise on the practice field, good in the preseason games. And so I would imagine that Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera are happy with how this guy's playing. We're just not hearing much about it because of all the other big names surrounding this team, with Dwayne Haskins' conversation, Chase Young's conversation, Antonio Gibson, Gandy Golden, and our left tackle controversy. So I think he's this position as a backup safety, and Jeremy Reeves is kind of down the list of things that people are interested in. But I think Jeremy Reeves makes this team as one of our safeties, and I actually think we bring 5 safeties to bring in another draft pick in Cameron Curl, since we lost that Caleb Brantley at defensive tackle. I think he is the guy that will be replacing the spot on the defense in Cameron Curl.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to do quarterbacks last because I have not much changing there as far as who I had before. Everybody's still here. I think Kendall Fuller, Fabian Moreau, Ronald Darby, Jimmy Moreland, and Danny Johnson make this team. But a guy instead of Cameron Curl, if Cameron Curl ends up not making this team, or maybe even Danny Johnson ends up not making the team, is Aaron Colvin. He's a 7-year player where I think he could be a corner for us that we keep. So that's going to be my one caveat on this team, is that might be a guy that I'd not have on my 53-man roster that could sneak up and take a spot from one of my guys. And then, of course, we have Dustin Hopkins, Tressway, and Nick Sundberg as our specials.
So where's the competition for that position? Ron Rivera. I'm just kidding. He said there's going to be competition at every position, but...
I would like to see competition at the kicking position. I don't necessarily think Dustin Hopkins is a guy that deserves no competition.
Right. Like, Tressway is the man, but yeah, Hopkins is a little bit iffy. I mean, he's not bad, don't get me wrong, but he's not like money.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
And he's not... It seems like he has a big leg. I know he could kick it out of the end zone on kickoff, but I wonder what Dustin Hopkins' longest field goal is right now. It's not that impressive. Maybe 55, 56? Like,
at the most, I think. I don't know how to put it. I don't see he's not a huge leg from what I
longest is right now 56.
No, it is. Okay. That's
yeah, and I mean, it's not a bad long, it's not horrible, like tragic, but at the same time, I would like to see a 59-yarder, a 60-yarder made.
Well, the other thing I think is more important, and I don't know the answer to this either, is what is his average over 40 yards?
Well, his field goal percentage in general is 84.9.
Do they break it down by distance? I'm just curious to see if, because something tells me when he gets like to 45, it's when you start. He's just not one of those where you go, okay. Anyway, I don't know what the stat is.
Last year, he was 25 for 30 in general. He was only an 83.3% field goal maker, if you will. Field goaler.
Field goaler, yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, here, let's see.
He's yet to be over 90% on a year.
So in 2019, here I found this at NFL.com. From 40 to 49, he was 8 of 10, and 50 plus, he was 2 for 3. So that's not bad. In 2018, for 40 to 49, he was 10 for 12, 4 for 5 from 50. In 2018, he was 100% inside. He was 5 for 5 from 20 to 29 and 7 for 7. So he's not, I mean, not terrible.
The concerning thing is that you've told me is that you said last year he had missed 2 in the 40-yard range, 40 to 49, and then 1 past 50?
Right, so 3 out of 13 kicks over the 40-yard line, he missed 3.
Yeah, but that means he missed 2 field goals inside the 40.
Right.
Because he missed 5 on the year. So, as I said, he's not bad, he's not like horrible, but he's not somebody that should have a position locked up, in my opinion. I think we should have brought somebody in to see, have a kickoff, if you will, to see who could make this team. But yeah. I don't know. I hope that Dustin Hopkins maybe steps up and gets over 90% one of these seasons as far as makes, but I don't know. It's tough. But he's our kicker right now. I don't see anybody coming in and taking it. Alrighty.
Doesn't appear that way.
So, I have 2 more topics, but we're already at 49 minutes, so.
Well, and I know you were going to talk about the name changes. That's the final 2 subjects, actually, I think we can cover very quickly because it's...
Yeah, all right, we'll go ahead and just do it then. We'll just continue. We'll just go down the road. We won't handle them too long. But I'll just briefly mention this, and we'll go into the Dan Snyder situation to end the show. So, yes, there's 2 road name changes due to the Redskins' nickname being the name of the roads before, and of course they are getting rid of everything Redskins. But I think they did a good job naming the 2 roads. And one is the road leading to the practice facility in Ashburn was now renamed to Coach Gibbs Drive. So it's and then the one leading to the stadium at FedEx Field is now going to be Sean Taylor Road.
Well, it's interesting because the one, I don't know about the practice field, but the one at FedEx Field was Redskins Drive. So I'm curious why it's Coach Gibbs Drive and Sean Taylor Road. I don't how they make that decision instead of keeping it.
No idea.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know what the proper distinctions are between lane, avenue, drive, road. Like, is there any real distinction, or is it literally all interchangeable? I guess
the only one that I know of offhand is Boulevard has an island down the middle. So that is the one distinction of a road that I know of. I don't know that street or road or drive has any distinct
lane, avenue, drive, road, street. Yeah, there's 5 of them that I have no clue. It could be any. Like, what's the distinction between these? I have no clue.
Yeah.
And then
but anyway.
But yeah, it's just a cool idea. I'm sure most people know this, but Sean Taylor was also the first draft pick by Gibbs made on the in his second stint as a coach. But at the same time, it's kind of cool because I remember like when we were changing the name, I saw people on Facebook basically being concerned that like, wait, does this mean that we're going to lose all our history? And it's like, well, what they're changing it to, it's a distinct, it's a obvious no. We're not going to lose our history. We will still keep all of our great coaches and players of our past a part of the team and a part of the culture, a part of everything, but we're just not going to be called the Redskins anymore. We are still the same team, basically, just not with the name, which is good.
Yep.
All right, so yes, our last topic, and it's a question, and that is, will Dan Snyder be removed from the team? And a little backstory, and I'll get your answer from that, is 25 more women have come forward to explain their stories of the toxic culture the Redskins seem to have been cultivating under Dan Snyder's reign as owner. Accusations include things like Dan Snyder approaching cheerleaders with other men who presumably pay good money and say things like, "We have a hotel room. How about you two go upstairs and get to know each other better?" Dan Snyder, of course, unequivocally says that never happened. But also, other things like Larry Michael approached one of the producers and says, "We have a special project we need to get done for the owner." And that project apparently was to include the good bits of a naked photo shoot of the cheerleaders.
Is that a problem?
So, will these accusations finally get rid of this horrible owner? And when I say horrible, I'm just talking about what he's done for our team, which is horrible. He's just brought this. Just a little thing is we had in the beginning of our team, we had a little bit of a downhill as far as winning percentages. Then, of course, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, our win percentage shot up way over 500. And then since he's become owner, it's just taken a nosedive again. We're now below 500. And I think he has a lot to do with it. But will he be removed from the league?
My short answer is no, we can't be that lucky. But if in the culture we live in right now, this could easily steamroll into, much like we thought, I honestly believed 3 or 4 years ago that the Redskins name would not change. And then things happen, and I think that if this was during the heart of the Me Too movement, it'd already probably be in the works to be like, he would be.
If this was 2016, he's gone.
Right.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but I think right now the emphasis is not on the men and women part of it and potential abuse. Right now it is on culture as far as, Native Americans, African Americans, minorities, that's what the focus is. Had this been something that involved minorities, I think that he would be, again, I think it would be in the works and he'd be gone. But as it stands right now, I don't see, unless other things happen, I think he gets reprimanded. He probably gets fined $500,000 or something, or a slap on the wrist. If what's his name Kraft from New England can get away with what he was doing, and them just give him a fine, Dan Snyder can basically deny it unless there's something that comes out on tape or something. That's my feeling anyway, is that this is not going to get him out of the league unless it starts snowballing down the hill.
Right. So, and another thing is he's hiring the right people now.
Right.
From what it looks like. I mean, Jason Wright, everything I'm hearing coming out of his mouth is awesome. I'm loving Jason Wright right now.
And to the point I was trying to make earlier, the first African-American president of an NFL team. So, and then you got Doug Williams as a vice president, that he's now can say, and rightfully so, he's got a diverse executive office. And so I don't think that as it stands right now, they're going to it's going to end up with him leaving. But if, like anything, it can shift gears quick. So, but like I said, in all honesty, I just don't think we're going to be that lucky that this is going to be what knocks him out the door. And
I think,
if I could say on the record, one more thing, if I could say on the record, this stinks an awful lot like Jeff Bezos. It just does.
Jeff Bezos is trying to sabotage
he wants an NFL team and he smells blood. I'm sorry, but Washington Post came out with the first two articles, and who owns the Washington Post? A guy that just happens to want an NFL team. Coincidence? Perhaps.
I honestly don't care if any of this is true or not. I just hope it sticks. I hope it gets him out. I really don't care if these are bold-faced lies made up by Jeff Bezos. I do not care. Get rid of Dan Snyder. Like, if Dan Snyder can go, I'm a happy, happy Redskins fan. Because the only reason, for years, the only reason that I've said Dan Snyder can stay is his refusal to change the name. So now that he caved, I have 0.0 ties to this human being. I think he's a jerk. I think he's an a-hole. I think he doesn't know what the frick he's doing on football. And I think he puts his dang nose into places that he shouldn't do as far as football goes. I think he's a cancer for this team because he thinks he knows more than everybody, and he's a little jerk, a little a-hole, and I just want him out. But as far as what I think will happen is I think that these things are going to continue to come out because the NFL just took over the investigation, and I think that they will eventually get rid of Dan Snyder to put the cherry on top of the culture change. The final sprinkles for the dessert is no more Dan Snyder, and then after that you pretty much have officially eliminated everybody that was here prior to this new regime as far as
the entire front office. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, and Doug Williams has been here a couple years. I don't know what his situation was, but besides that, and then I guess Kyle Smith too. But I think that'll be the final one who was named in these allegations, because I don't think Kyle Smith or Doug Williams were named, to finally be out of this team, out of the NFL, and I hope it happens. And if Jeff Bezos comes on, I think we will be a very well-run, oiled machine, and things will start looking up, because he's also very, very customer-centric. That's what Amazon is. A lot of workers have not been happy with Amazon, but not many customers have been upset with Amazon. Their customer service on the phone is great. They respond to you. If you have disputes, they almost don't argue with you most of the time. They're like, yep, okay, here you go. If you are like, oh, I didn't mean to pay this month for the service or for like whatever the Prime or whatever. They're like, okay, here's your money back. Like who like they're very customer centric, and I think that'll be great for our fans. I think they will care deeply about what their customer base thinks and what they can do to improve our experience. So I am not mad if Jeff Bezos buys the team, and honestly, I don't care who it is. If it's not Dan Snyder, I'm happier than I was.
Got it.
Perfect. All right, well, that's a show. Episode 18 in the books. Again, we have one more episode before week 1 of the NFL season. In just 2 episodes, we will actually be talking about play on the field. That just felt good to say. It made me smile. It made me happy inside. So leave some comments down there. Like the video. Share with your friends. And continue to enjoy the content. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And thank you for sticking around to the end. You have any last words?
Nope. Just go Skins. Well, sorry. Go WFT.
WTF, man.
Yeah.
See ya.